I'm Jay. I'm a Jenko. I see an issue. See if that helps that one. Right. I've actually got the capture device happy with the 3020. It doesn't like to boot with it connected because it doesn't pass through the EDIC properly. So it has to be connected to the monitor directly at boot, and then the capture device swapped into the chain. So, but this isn't doing badly, as it's actually feeding through a USB 3 hub. I've only got one 3020. We won't get any sound at the moment, but yeah, that's what I was just trying to fix, Majenko, and it doesn't want to. I think it's due to the resolution and scaling just being overly sensitive. But I rebuilt this setup so that the capture would be the bigger high swarm section of the canvas. I can never remember what the skip is on this one. Well, it might just be mouse. I don't know if it's changed mode or if it's unhappy. Let me turn that off. Switch that back to that one. Let's see if we can figure out why the Bureau is quite so finicky. Kill that one. As for the fun, don't know if this is going to pick up the 9-pin mouse connector, but that's a quadrant mouse. Oh, GUVUC. Hold on. GUVC view on this one, but I'm not actually using it because I installed it, had a poke at it, and it told me what was wrong with my settings. So I didn't actually have to use the software to poke at it. I just needed it to tell me what was wrong. And it turns out the error was for colour depth. If you let it open as default, it uses hold on. It uses YUYV422, which it turns out it can only do at 30 frames a second at 640 by 480 or lower. If you select any higher resolution, you get 5 frames per second, which explains all the wobbly computers. It was literally rolling the shutter at 5 frames a second. So now we know where all the screws are from the A3010, we should be able to fully open the 3020, because the actual mounting system is identical. So there is a modification kit for the A3020, so for the A3000, and I think you can do it on the 3020 and the 3010, to replace the flat flexes. You basically modify the system and it replaces the flat flex with a pin connector, and you replace the friction fits on the board with a pair of pin headers, and that therefore allows you to have to be fair, Majenko, Acorn started on the Electron like that, and we've sort of been stuck with it ever since. The BBC and the BBC Master use a ribbon cable with a pin header. On the BBC B, it's even more useful. It's a pin header at both ends, so it's just a jumper cable. Right, so that should get us everything in on the shielding. Hi, Jupin. Right. So, as you can see on this, we've got the same audio board, although it's a 180 degree reverse to the 3010, and this is the 250. So this is the ARM2, the IOC, the MEMEC 1A and the VIDC, everything that's on the Adelaide board in the 3010 on one chip. Let me try and... There we go. So that's the iCubed network card for this one. You can see a difference in the hard drive module from the 3010. Is the 3010's hard drive only needs these pins, the network module needs the centre ones as well. They weren't exactly subtle. As you can see, there's quite a lot of actual pins there. So the next bit to come out is we're going to need the underneath. I think it's that one. Maybe smaller. Yeah, there we go. Now, as far as I know, this has never been out, so these are going to be a bit of a pain. Let's see. The transformer one's out the way. Acorn never were particularly good at using one screen size. It's a bit of a pain when you find it's one Torx for this one and a different Torx for the two underneath. You've got to love the fact that for the eConnect interface they have moulded, not fitted, into the casing. When you if you actually ordered the eConnect interface card, which goes between these pins and these pins, you actually got a sticker to go across the back that literally said fitted. Right, so there's the machine. No Daves in this one. See if the power connector will come out, unlike the 3010 where the pins came out of the connector. Hear one of the servers ramping up behind me. Oh, this time the earth goes on the board. On the 3010, the earth was... Oh, they've put a second earth in, that's why. Okay, we're not looking so bad on the back. There's a... Don't think that's the battery because it's up here. Yes, you can see the damage on the back of the case. Where can I put this? Let's put that over there. Is it bad that I'm using a 4000 series HP colour laserjet as a support for the machines? I'll wait for that to warm up a little. Insert lemonade. This is the bit I'm not looking forward. That is why I wasn't looking forward to this bit. Majenko, I spent a long time working on the PCW when we had one. It's not... I don't have love for them like I do acorns. And the chances of finding the right size elastic band to replace the drive belt is... yeah. Yes, Majenko, except for the PCW doesn't use a standard 34 pin connector. The Hitachi drive has less pins, so you need to build an interposer cable or board. It's electrically compatible, it's not physically compatible. In fact, when the 3.5-inch drive upgrades were on the market, they were a standard 800k floppy with a circuit board on the back to do the cable modification. I think one of these is out. I don't think the other is. I don't like how much the board is flexing as I move the battery. XS25. There we go, one exceedingly crusty battery. Put the iron over there to cut off. This is what Vartas do. The other side to it, of course, is that if I need large amounts of soldering or unsoldering done, I have Simon, so I can just give it to him. Yeah, he's a City and Guilds trained television repair engineer. He has the tools and the skills I do not. Not particularly concerned about this because it's not as if I'm going to use the parallel port. I mean, I could. I've got stuff that will use it. I just don't have a need to on this. Could be worse jeeping. I could get a snake instead of a moor. It's amazing how far this has managed to get. There's actually corrosion on the keyboard, sorry, on the mouse port. But not on this capacitor. Crystal looks okay. Maybe I should try and find the memory upgrade for what these, which is just 4 chips. You might have to change those link locations. Might have to change that cap. Don't think that's corrosion from the battery. I don't know what was happening here. There is a via, a square spiral track, and that goes to pin 1 on the 44 pin IDE connector. One of the handy things about the 3000 series is, like the original A series, there is nothing it needs to boot after the ROMs. Everything else is optional. So you can take the battery out, and it's a pain because it doesn't restore to any settings, but you can just put a new battery in later, boot up with delete held down and then the monitor type selection held down, and you're pretty ready to go. Everything else is just a setting in the CMOS. Hi Peter. Doesn't time go fast when you're trying to pull a board out of a machine? Half an hour already. I'm sure Ben and Majenko will confirm that one. One of the questions that Nick and Rich of Bad Obsession got asked is along the lines of, you said it takes 3 times as long if you're filming something, and they said once you've set the cameras up, check the lighting, because of course they're recording to make YouTube videos for Project Binky. Once you've got set up, set the camera, set the lighting, check the lighting, reset the lighting, filmed a bit, it's at least 3 times as long than it would have taken to do the job in the first place, which I can fully understand. So here you can see the difference between starting to leak and let's eat the motherboard. What, you do it for blue bent nose? And the this PC battery is more like that. Probably worse. I think so. It's ATR. But I can't make out if there's a character in front of it. That sounds like G-Pin's technique, Swarm. Yeah, shove the camera in, hope for the best. This is helpful. On this one, they've soldered the legs over the model number. On this one, if I line it up the same way, they've soldered the legs on at 90 degrees, so you can actually read the model number. That's actually helpful. Alkaline battery crap, just what everyone needs. Some specifications would be nice. Majenko, would you mind trying to see if you can find anything out about this battery? Working on the idea that you're more used to looking at component suppliers. It's a Varta V280R. It's a single cell PCB mount, but it doesn't even list on it the voltage. I'm assuming it's 1.2 to 1.4 volts because it's only a single cell, in which case we might be able to replace it with either a rechargeable NIML might be 2.4, but let's get the non-manky one. Don't have my other laptop in here, which makes it a little hard to. I can't at the moment, Majenko. It's refusing to let me upload the pictures. Hang on a second. Let me go and get mini wire. It's been fixed. There we go, Majenko. I've stuck that picture of all three sides for you on Masto. ended up using my laptop to stand it as a stand for the battery, which has to be the stupidest thing ever. Right. I'll just be a second. Right, that's dealt with that. I don't know. I'm almost running at 1-to-1 bots to actual streams. Luckily it hasn't got onto the hard drive. I think this is 100 meg, might be an 80. But as you can see, the motherboard was fitted slightly small on both models, just so on this one you could get hard drive in the end. So it's shortest hard drive cable I can think of, because it literally turns 90 degrees and onto the board. Well, I'll probably take the easy way out and look at which battery I put in the A5000, because you'll notice the extra pad is to take the longer Varta, so you can fit two different batteries in these. What you can also do, and what I'll probably end up doing, is patching a couple of wires on and putting a double A size cell on it. That's quite a normal mod. Now, on the A3010 we were commenting about the number of crystals. You'll notice that on the 3020 there's a lot less crystals. We've got this one marked X2, which was X2 down here. We've got X4 and we've got X7. We've got X100, but as far as I can see we don't have any of the others. Oh no, sorry, we've got X5. So we've got 1, 2, 3 and 4. But this one actually have pads in it. CMOS. I'm trying to think on this one. It's actually over here. So it's real-time clock and CMOS settings, and that's it. Oh god, no. Now you ask. Don't worry, I'll look up the spec, because someone will have documented what that one is. It's not a major problem. On the 5000 I was able to just get a completely replacement Varta cell, which just made life easier. You can see some of the compromises on this board design, by the way. You will notice massive empty spot where they put the UHF modulator on the 10 and they just left it empty. There's no way of tracking to it. So I'm still finding it funny that they reversed the audio circuitry. I mean that must have been in the board design. It's not like a compromise between having the Adelaide and the system on and the 250. So they must have designed this to have that hybrid board reversed from the get-go. All the other caps look pretty good. But at the moment it doesn't play sound at all. That's where the battery corrosion had got to. Right, let's get the board recentered. There's a 7,000 on eBay for spares and repairs, and the entire corner is corroded like this. So if I bring this forward, you can see just round the printer port and the cutout the battery corrosion onto the steel. On the 7000, this entire corner, because the 7000 is a 3-box design, but this entire corner has acid damage, and when you look at the rest of the sail, that's the only bit they haven't photographed. They've photographed the damage of the case, but there's no pictures of the board, which is a shame because the 7000 is not a bad machine. It's a cut down risk PC, so you get you can either put it in a podule or you can have the hard disk. Oh no, the board's in there because there's a shot of the back up to what would be here, and all the connectors are there, and there's pictures of the VIDC and there's pictures of the arm. There's just no pictures of the corner where the battery is. It very much thinks of this one has eaten itself, but we've said it's for spares and repairs, but we're not going to tell you how bad it is. Well, the problem I have identifying it, Majenko, is I've never actually been inside a 7000 or a 7000 plus, so I don't even know what's round the battery on that one. You know, I'd forgot. Well, I didn't know on the 3010 that they'd moved the battery, because I've only bothered with the 3020s. Right. Just trying to get the power back on. One thing that's nice about the A series rather than the A400 and 300 and the BBC is they really simplified the power by putting it on the board. On the Beeb you have 7 power wires, plus 5 volts and 0, which connect at 3 different points on the boards, and then the -5 for the serial and the sound, which there's only one of. But it means you have a loom that comes out of a power supply, has 3 connectors here, 2 here, and 2 right over there. So you have this cable that runs all the way across the board, whereas the integrated ones, at least you've only got mains input, and then you're sort of done. Oh no, these go through the casing, not through the board. So let's see if we can get this to clip in. Well, that went on a lot easier than the 3010 did. Yeah, so on the one I saw, the battery's going to taking out the floppy connector, the serial port, minimum. Right, let's well, it depends how it was stored. If it was vertical, it might have just taken out the serial, and bluntly, no one uses serial on an Acorn. It's like the parallel port on this. I'm not really fussed if the parallel port is damaged, because I'm never going to use it. And yeah, if it was stored the other end up, Acorn and batteries, it's a tale as old as time. Sorry you can't really see anything, but and these are the annoying ones that go into the transformer, so I'm having to support the transformer with one hand. There we go. Right. It's nice that they marked the fuses on the board. It's not that one next, it's temporarily put that over there. I've got the tools open to one side, which is the problem that the shielding plate is underneath them. Apparently, one of my iFixit bits has decided to run off. That one will need. That one we might not. We'll probably need that one. The reason I'm not so worried about this bit, apart from the sound, is the floppy controller's still working. So I'm not too worried about this side, I'm more worried about that side. See if we can get this in. Duh. That side has to go in to get the floppy button in place. Come on. Well, the advantage of this is it's a standard drive, so if all else fails, you just put a longer cable on it. The cable isn't proprietary. Oh, if you really want the fun of that, Majenko, you need to see the the deltas. Friend of mine used to work for Delta, who used to be British Rail Signalling Research and Development, and the solid state interlocking system and integrated control system, ICCS, ran on these machines called Deltas, which you would love. They're custom Motorola 68000 systems. In fact, they're so custom, when Delta was taken over, the edict came from on high that all IT was to be done by head office IT. And my friend basically got told, you need to tell IT about all your machines. So they had someone come down from head office, and he took them into the computer room and he pointed to the first delta in the rack. And they said, "What is that?" And he said, "That's a delta. It's an experimental system." "What's the serial number?" they asked. And he said, "It's here." And he read off the front, X000001. And they said, "What's the X stand for?" And he said, "Experimental." And they said, "What's the next one?" He said, "Well, that's the second delta." "Well, what's its serial number?" X000002. The guy looks at these 5 systems stacked in the rack and goes, "How many of these have you got?" And he goes, 5. "How many were built?" 5. You would also love these, Majenko, because it's one of those industrial cases where the hobbyist industry has supported them, because the biggest design that has helped my friend out is the Blue SCSI, because this thing is so fussy about its SCSI drives. Getting hold of replacement drives is like rocking horse manure, but the Blue SCSI can do it. So you've got these mid-80s custom experimental development machines with Blue SCSIs in them. But yeah, the modern integrated versions of these machines are what are actually out on the rail network running the signalling systems. But the original ones are massive. Oh, you wouldn't want the power consumption. These things make a Deck Alpha look frugal. They're like 300 watts a machine just for the processing. Storage is extra. But yes, it ended up with an edict from the head office of all IT will be done by head office IT, except for those things. We're not touching them. To give you another story along those lines, there used to be a setup at the Railway Museum in York where if you went through the workshop you could go to a bay of windows that looked out across the station, and it had a set of the repeater screens of the station manager's office, except because the station manager was on the other side of the tracks, the screens were backwards. So when a train went left to right outside the window, it went right to left on these screens. So my friend's there, and he's calling out what happens. So he's there looking at it, and the train's moving, and he's there, right, that will trip that treadle, engaging this track circuit, which will engage this system. That will link over to this and pass on to that. And there's an older gentleman there who sort of coughs behind him, and my friend ignores him. And he's right, this will do this, this will do that, that will engage this. And again there's this cough, and he turns round and gives the look of what, and it doesn't work like that, Sonny. So yes it does, because this will happen, that will happen, and this will happen. Look, Sonny, I've been interested in the railways for over 30 years. And my friend just turned to him and said, "That's interesting, I designed this system, fuck off." He also told me that the system in York wasn't installed by them, it was done by another company, and they got some of the interlinks incorrect, which came to a head when the clocks got desynced, and there was a class 47 array, so a intercity 125, coming down the East Coast main line. It's doing 120 miles an hour. The system at York decided it was out of place, stuck a red signal in front of it, and let a goods train out in front of it. So you've now got an intercity 125 doing 55 miles an hour behind a goods train. All because the clock, basically the system thought it was night time, not daytime. See if I can get this thing. I wish they'd just put screws going through the board at the back. Because it would have made this so much simpler. The one that winds me up with HS2 Majenko is the number of people who don't realise what the point of HS2 is. It doesn't matter if HS2 runs a bit slower, because the whole point of HS2 is to get stuff off the West Coast main line. Get the expresses off the WMCL. No, it's to get it off the WMCL because it is stacked. If you take the expresses off the West Coast onto HS2, you can get more local trains and goods onto the West Coast main line. That's the point of it, and that's the bit they don't tell anyone. If they told people that, people would make more sense of the project, and would also understand why cancelling the top bit of it makes so little sense, because all it does is jam all the trains back together north of Birmingham. You could run HS2 at the same speed as the West Coast main line for top speed, and it would still do the job it was meant to do. It's all about increased capacity. The other solution the MPs have come up with instead is to decrease the safety distance between the trains. And as we all know, all that does is put off the problem until you have another massive crash, and you do a rail investigation, and they come back and say, you're running the trains too close together, there's not enough safety gap. Right. That's from the other kit. For a cheap toolkit, this has been one of the really good purchases. I think I got it from Maplin's, given it's Ronson, because that was one of the brands that was basically Maplin's would sell. But now if you run a train of MPs into the ocean, then you will really get the Rail Safety Investigation Board on your back. They really don't like you doing stuff like that. Yeah, if you want to see a fun one, you should see the amount of paperwork. Something simple, like something hung off a train and hit a bridge. Yeah. Then the paperwork comes out. Right, so I need 2 batteries. Let's well, the problem is I wouldn't want to Majenko, because they are the ones who basically say fix it, rather than, well, some people died, does it really matter? The lemonade is going down quite quickly. I've just realised that the printer to the side of me is actually sat on a second Desk Pro EN, the one that used to be my Peacock box, and then the rails for one of my servers, because the rails don't fit in the rack. It's only a 60cm rack, not a metre. So it's one of those. I really should move the rails, because then I wouldn't keep knocking my hand into them. On the other hand, they were quite useful to rest a soldering iron on while it was heating up. Let's see what this says. .6 volt. No, that's the multiple one. The fun of old batteries. Can't spell, but there's nothing new there. It's got to be somewhere around 3.6. People are replacing them with 3 AA's. Hi, Leaky. Wow, this guy's one was way crustier than mine. The battery wasn't, but it had leaked worse. See what he did for the battery. You're going to love the easiest way of putting a CF card mod in this. You need a small card, but you need to set it up, and it's hard under RISC OS. But if you happen to have a Raspberry Pi, you can boot RISC OS 5 on the Raspberry Pi and use that to format the CF card, and RISC OS 3.1 will be happy with that. So it's got to be somewhere in 3.6. This is probably not going to surprise you, but once you find an entry on this, everything else you tend to find is just different bits from the same posts. It's not quite as bad as Majenko finding his own stuff when he's looking for stuff, but it does come across that way as, you know, well, here's one entry, you want to see all the rest by the same people, right? Yeah, the A series uses 3 volts because it's only got 2 batteries. Oh no, this isn't copy and pasting, Swarm. This is where all the search results basically go, well, you want to see every step from that page, right? Oh wow, the turns out the A3020's even worse on batteries. Same battery, mounted horizontally, right in next to the OS ROMs. So if it's going to fail, it's going to take out your OS. Yeah, I've just come across one like that and ooh, yeah, bad. It is a single cell. To be fair, the Amiga, it depended on the Amiga and what expansions you had fitted. Because one of the comments that I've seen from people in the Amiga community is the machine was fine except for the real-time clock on the memory upgrade in the trapdoor of my 500, which ate the board. CGA will sell one for 12 quid, but I don't know what it is yet, which is annoying, because if I had known that, I could have got them to ship me them with the RISC PC, because they're shipping me the RISC PC. Right, it turns out these batteries are marked R, and CJE thinks for H's, just to make life fun. May have to track those down the hard way. But yeah, it does look like it's a single battery. One of the comments CJ make on it is, you shouldn't really call this a battery, it's a single cell. So we might have two saved 3000s, a good 5000, and Majenko's making grabby motions at the wrist PC. And Majenko will be going, I don't make grabby motions, they're swipey motions. Is it bad I'm timing stream length by the bottle of lemonade? I know that's normally a Majenko one of, I've run out of drink, it must be time for the end of stream. It's the expensive stuff. It's one of the silly things I comment on is when I take my recycling, I will take a couple of bags that are all clinking, yet they're all lemonade, Coke, strawberry lemonade. It sounds like, to anyone near me, it sounds like I'm an alcoholic and there's not a single alcoholic drink that was in any of the bottles. Well, running all this lot has managed to keep the CPU at about 50%, which I don't think is too bad. I still need to figure out why we're getting the 50 Hz slight rolling flicker when we didn't the other day. It seems very strange. But right, thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to go and speak to Simon about batteries, and we might be able to resurrect these to full working order. Now I've seen the inside of this one again, I am tempted to try and get the 4 memory chips and take this up to 4 meg. The 3010 is one on the board, one in the slots, but you can get a custom board that fits in the 2 512K ZIL slots, and you can put 3 meg on it and you'll get a 4 meg unit. This one, it was 2 meg as stock and you can add 2 meg onto it. They're both limited because they've only got the single memory controller, so they can only handle 4 meg, but 4 meg is so much easier to deal with than 1 or 2. The 5000 is a bit easier because it has the same memec on the board, but mine's got 2 meg on the board and then another 2 meg in a memory slot. It actually has a dedicated slot, and the card itself has empty space for more RAM. I just have to find one of the units that piggybacks a second memory controller onto it. So I'm not likely to do that, but it's still easier to deal with 4 meg than it is with 2, especially if you load it up with things like the modules for the network card, because it will load those when it sees pling system, and eat 1.5 meg of your memory. This is why it's vitally important to figure out which type of card is fitted and only load the modules for it. But, right, well, thank you everyone. I will see you around, and I'm sure I'll see some people with Ben with some blocks later. Where did I leave my mouse? Right.